at any moment in time, ask me what is playing, and I'm going to hum something or to tell you that I hear in a gigantic orchestra in my mind at all times. It never stops. To me, I live in music.
Wow.
That's how music inhabits me. It's part of me. And he saw that joy when I was playing. And he asked me if I had played all my life. And I said, well, last time I really played was at 21 years old. I'm now 35 years old. It's been a while. So I'm not trained anymore. And he said, you're not trained and you play that way. Yeah. You know, you never forget when music play in your mind at all times.
Yeah.
And he asked me, because he actually mentored me before we fell in love. He asked me, you are going to make a promise to yourself to never, ever drop your music for anybody whatsoever anymore in your entire life. Promise me that now. I did with joy, with delight, with relief, and at the same time finding back that first love expression, you know.
Yeah.
And that has been absolutely transformational.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become the best possible versions of themselves and to strive for overall health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, all of the healths, without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who've been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time somebody shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. So, what I know about you from Sasha is that you are a musician. Is that right?
True, that is true too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
One of
let's talk about that. Let's just get right into it.
cool. Okay, so let's talk music.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was, so first of all, I was born in a family half Hungarian, half Swiss. The
Mm.
Hungarian side, they all play music. It's in the blood. Everybody does. One way or another, singing, grabbing any instrument available, do something, but just like follow the beat and just do something. So, born and raised in there, at the age of 3 years old, I was actually sneaking into the room of my father, who had a violin. And I opened the violin very, very gently, even though I was 3 years old. And I just touched the strings, and it filled me with joy. I was laughing out loud of joy as a tiny 3 years old, like, ha ha ha. And of course, my parents heard the strings of the violin because I did not think about closing the door behind me or anything like that. You know, you are so innocent.
Yeah.
And when my mother came to verify that I was not, quote unquote, breaking the violin because I was such a small kid, she realized that I was actually very gentle, very soft, and I was just touching the strings. And then she thought to herself, all right, I take note. You are attracted to the violin. However, you are so small, we cannot go straight to the violin. We have to teach you some music base before. So we started with the piano. That's essential. Essential skills, scales, chords,
Mm-hmm.
two different things with each hand. But the teacher had an organ with a pedal. And after 2 years of understanding how you do with your hands, you would now learn how to do with the feet on the pedal to actually do the entire music. So this is when, as we only had a piano at home and my parents were not rich enough to actually purchase and other things and like that, they said, okay, my daughters, you are going to actually choose which instruments you want to learn because we cannot continue that same way. We're not going to include the pedals. You're going to move up in a way or another. My sister chose to actually go deeper into the piano, and I said, give me the violin. But it just like burst. All right. And what they did was to bring me to a old. Why do I say old? Because that man, I don't know what age he was, but he had a full white hair, full white eyebrow, very long. He was all wrinkled. So to me, it was old. Now, don't ask me how old. I don't know. His name was De Blue. And Mr. De Blue, I don't remember the first name, was a top artist in the field. And he was still giving violin lessons to the youth. So they brought me to him and say, can you tell me, is this 7 years old girl able to play the violin, or is it just a dream and we just move on to something else? I remember he looked at my fingers like that. Yeah, she's perfectly made to play the violin. Those words, Katie, they built me. I trusted him that I was a violinist, even though I did not even start. But that led that within a few months, I was already playing something that was audible and listenable and nice to hear. I know how many times when you hear, yeah, I have a kid who started to play violin, and you just say, poor parents, like, do you have some noise cancelling headphones? I mean, it can be so awful because there is no, you have to create every note. You cannot do it half-half. It is right, and you have only 1 millimeter place where it is right and it sounds right. And you have a plethora of wrong position and approach and things. So it's really something that you have to attune and adjust yourself to play. And I picked it up so fast. I believed that old man who told me she is made to play the violin. Let's do it. Within a few years, I was already top of the class. Within 14 years, I was in professional school. And even though, and by the way, very interesting fact, I just was diagnosed with ADD, attention deficit disorder. And the more I'm working on that and discovering how to actually understand it better and correct it, and now I started on a certain medication to help focus the brain, I realized this is why during all those 14 years of playing 1 to 2 hours a day, getting me to play and to rehearse and practice, that was the hard part that my mother took on her. Did you play the violin? Yeah, like every kid, you know?
Yeah.
Then as soon as I was taking the violin, that's so beautiful. Okay, I'm doing it. That's so great. I'm so happy. But that ignition was always hard. And now that I understand this attention deficit disorder with that multitasking brain that try to do everything at once, sorry, it's impossible even though we are doing it, explained a lot why it was so hard to get to it. But as soon as I was in it, I was in another world. I just changed dimension. And what happened is that my brain picked up music At any moment in time, ask me what is playing, and I'm going to hum something or to tell you that I hear in a gigantic orchestra in my mind at all times. It never stops. To me, I live in music, even though I rarely open up the radio, YouTube, or the recorder or CD or anything to listen to other people's music. I rarely do, but I constantly have music running around. And I call that the music of the angels, because
Mm-hmm.
rarely something I recognize or I have heard. So because of that, I quickly, because I understood, like really deeply understood music at the base level, I can pick up any instruments for that matter, it will work. I will play and play well.
Mm-hmm.
There is some practice, of course, but as soon as I pick up and I listen, this is how you do, okay, this is how you do, okay, this is how you do, okay, fine. This is how you do, okay, this is how you, okay, fine, let's do it. I just do it. I don't think it through. I just recognize where is the sound here. Okay, so let's just do it. And I'm playing. It's like, did you learn?
That's really cool.
No music. So that's it.
Wow.
That's how music inhabits me. It's part of me. One of the dream I got, because I'm not currently using music as my profession. It is a
Mm-hmm.
gift I have and that I gladly give forward. I had a dream to actually put together a kind of in-person summit or event or a big event with people in the crowd, in the audience, and to actually explain mindset, attraction, psychology, and things like that with the violin, to explain in real time and to show with a real-time example. You see, if you play that way, that means that. And if you play that way, that means that. Okay, so now you understand better, and that will stick to the memory of the people. So that is one of my dreams that I'm imagining.
I like that. So basically, like you've seen the memes or whatever it's called where it says music is life. It's literally your life because it's always in your head.
It's constant. It's in me. I feel it. It exists at all times.
I love that.
And it's beautiful. It's always
Yeah,
beautiful.
I
And
really like that.
right now, the funniest part for me to play is either I pick up the violin and play you back what I hear, and it's always a new song. I don't know it. I just play it in real time alongside what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, and where does that come from? I don't know. It's a music of the angel. This is how I got it. And but also what I like to do is to put any band, any music that everybody knows, any song that everybody knows, and just play along, regardless if I know the song or not.
Hmm.
And that sounds great. It's like, did you do
Ah.
that all your life? Basically, yes. But the fact is that at 17 years old, I met my first bad boy, who became my first abusive ex-husband. And every time, and I was at the peak of my game. I was from 17 to 21 years old. I was at the peak of my game. I was the best I have ever been, virtuoso. And I was practicing, rehearsing, playing. And regularly he came to me and told me, stop it. I have such a headache. I cannot hear that any longer. So then I moved to the basement to keep on practicing and rehearsing. I had an audition shortly after, so I wanted to get ready and make sure that I was as perfect as possible. And realizing that I was actually hiding more and more, disappearing. I even took my violin in the forest to play. just to rehearse,
Wow.
not having him close to me to tell that it was not okay, and to have some audience, even though it's all animals and plants
Yeah.
and trees. That was great. And after that last big audition, that was actually the audition to enter the professional school, that, by the way, I did not enter because of all my life circumstances. And they were
Mm.
looking for free agent, if you want, for free young people, not for a 21 years old with a baby living in domestic violence, difficult to organize life around. Yeah, no, we are looking for really available people who can actually go towards the world. Yeah, I was not available for that,
Mm.
not really. And but I got really, really ready for that audition, and it was exceptionally good, really, really good. But right after that, when I came back, I heard one more time, "Can you stop it? It's too much for my head." And he was mentally sick, like really, really a lot of
Mm.
different disorders. We have the list, but that's not the topic now. And then I decided to actually put my violin to rest, close it, and reopen it when I would be 50 years old. That was what I said
Oh,
at
wow.
21. Even though I understand the circumstances, I would have said, drop the man, keep the violin, keep your baby, and move on. That is what I would say to that girl now that
Yeah.
I know what I know. But at that time, I was raised in a evangelical, apostolical kind of biblical church,
Mm.
and wives must submit to their husband and give them their all. And this is how I was raised. So therefore, I just gave him my all, including the most cherished things I had on earth, music. Or more precisely, the violin, because music actually never stopped. And when I left, I quitted that man a few years later. I actually picked up back my violin, and I realized, hold on, I did not lose it. Of course, I never stopped playing in my mind. You know
Yeah.
how when you play, you visualize something, you are impregnating your brain and your subconscious mind about that. And when I picked up my violin, it's almost as if I never dropped it. Then later on, I had another series of 10 years of domestic violence. It was a different type of relationship regarding music, because this time I picked a pianist virtuoso blind. Like, what? Like, I was amazed by that man, amazed. And I still am when I listen to him playing, because now you do not see anything, and you just go, and he plays jazz, which is that special kind of rhythm that is one of the rare I have a hard time understanding, because I was classically trained. So going to jazz a little bit, but not too much. So I was just like flabbergasted when
Mm-hmm.
listening to him play. And that created another dichotomy, meaning that, yes, I have that soft, because when the type of music that turns is between classical, pop, and rock in terms of style. That is really what runs in the background. So now you go and you disrupt with some jazz, it's like, wow, that's different, you know?
Yeah.
And I tried one time in 10 years to actually learn one of his music pieces and play it along with him with a violin for a specific occasion. We did it, but the belittling was so strong from him to me that I barely touched any music in the next 10 years period. So a first time 5 years, after 2 or 3 years, I stopped. And then another time 10 years. And almost fully stopped. And after that, I met Sasha. And Sasha, he's an audiophile. He knows every music. He connects all the artists with the name of the song, with the year, with the story. He knows it all of everything that is available out there. And he was also when he was at school to do a minor in media and communication, he was actually able to go in a recording studio with Phil Collins and actually learn and participate in that entire studio remixing, song recording, and all of that. So he was aware of that. And he saw how difficult it was for these people who are recognized stars to come up with a song and to find the right tune and to put them together and when he saw me sitting on any piano that I found, because that's the most easy thing to just you go, you sit, you play, that's it. And realizing that I was just creating song in real time. What are you doing? Please click record every time you do that. You are just creating hit after hit after hit after hit. Okay. So I have quite a few recording on any kind of devices that we had around, which is super cool. But yeah, that is a little bit of the story around that. So Sasha is a huge catalyst for music to exist. He just wants me to reveal myself in any way that I feel called to. And the more recent, I mean, in the last, since 2018, actually, I finally, after healing and transformation, because domestic violence is a real thing and it does leave scars.
Yeah.
And trauma and things like that. So working through all of that with unfailing support of Sasha, with all his sacrifice of his own life in order to support me along the way. I mean, I cannot be loved more than that. I can tell you that. And he actually helped me enough, and I started to reveal myself as being a transformational life specialist, because I understand pain. I understand being stuck in any toxic cycle of any kind. I understand how to actually unlock that and go to the next level. And I also understand all the business aspect with marketing, sales, website development, message, one-liner. How do you present to each other? How do you attract leads? How do you get some real clients paying you for your worth? And what I really do understand is that business and personal development, they go hand in hand. If you are stuck on your business side, you have to work on your personal development. It's not the business the problem. The business is the mirror of where you are at emotionally, right? And in your own inner world. So when the business is stuck, you say, hold on a second, what do you believe to be true? Do you really believe that? Okay, so think again. Is that a universal truth? No, it's not. Okay, so what would you rather believe if that is not a universal truth? Oh, that you are actually amazing and worth it. Okay, so let's work on that. So that is really for the personal development. And then, of course, all the technology and all of that, I have a super easy time with computers and programs and all kind of things to actually make it work and make it worth it for an entrepreneur to go in the world and upload their message and connect with the right people, network and all of that. And Sasha helps a lot as well, because he has all the business background as well. So when you put all of that, it becomes a gorgeous, gorgeous mission, which is really to elevate the world, make it a better place, one person at a time, and with tact and ease and compassion.
I love that. I want to rewind just a little bit and ask you, was there a point in time in your story when you decided that you would never let outside forces influence you to put your violin down?
Yes. At the end of the second abusive relationship, back in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
I actually did not see the way out, and I decided to commit suicide. But the goal and the heart and the thought, intention behind that was to go speak to God or whoever. I call God because that's so much easier.
Yeah.
To go to God and to tell him, listen, I did not sign up for a life of abuse. I'm okay, you send me back to Earth to finish whatever mission, lesson, whatever I have to learn. But I do not take abuse anymore. It's over. So that was my plan. So I was going to really die, really go to God, and be sent back as an embryo in a new life, in a new whatever lifetime, something like that. I believe that we go back and forth between multiple lifetimes. This is what I believe, true or not, but I do remember past lifetimes as well. So I have a huge tendency to believe that that is true. And as God is omnipresent for everybody simultaneously at all time, watches over us at all time, regardless what we're going through. He actually decided to interrupt my suicide. So what he did, as I told you with all the music, I am very attuned to hear what's going on in these other dimensions. I hear the music of the angel. That also means that I hear some very precise word.
Mm-hmm.
Julian. And I heard those words. Of course, you can jump from the 10th floor of the apartment building. All right. Of course, you can jump. It's going to work. But I'm going to give you the same life in worse. Is that really what you want? That was the word of God for me. Those words stopped me on my course, because what I was hearing is that my plan would not concretize my intention. So I was not choosing the right path to get to my goal. That's what I heard and understood. And I screamed back on the same level, no, this is not what I want. Right? And then the voice told me, okay, so leave by the door. Take the door instead of the window. I left 50 times prior to that. It never worked. I was always back home as if I never left. I reported even that. I was accompanied by police to leave. Even then, I came back home as if I never left. And I hear God telling me, so leave by the door. And I left by the door that night. I barely had met Sasha a couple of weeks before. And his mother just committed suicide, exactly that same way. And suddenly I thought to myself, hold on a second. I just met a good man. I don't know him really, but I met a good man. And he doesn't have any family left, meaning that he has a couch. And I may be able to crash on his couch a couple of nights at a time to figure out what's next, because I have no plan whatsoever. I planned to die, not to live. So I did not plan to organize life around a change, And I walked to his home. He welcomed me, understood what was going on, and actually placed me through the entire women's shelter, housing system, psych ward, mental health institution, things like that, to actually help, because that level of crisis was strong enough to actually warrant some serious help. A few months of those real help surprised me all along, because I had no idea about all that world. I didn't know it even existed. And I was able to actually be back on my feet. And during those 2 months, before we were a couple of love with Sasha, before that, I actually stopped by a violin shop and I asked if I could borrow or rent or something like that for a few bucks a violin. They gave me one for, I don't remember, 1 week, 1 month, something like that. I think it was 1 week. I borrowed one. So I actually visited Sasha with my violin in my hands. I started to play, and he was like, "Do that?" Yes, I do. Okay. And then I returned to the violin shop and I asked for a viola, which is the violin a little bit bigger. We also call it an alto, depending on the language.
Okay.
It requires to modify a little bit the size of the place of the hand, but the movement is the same. The sound is slightly lower, but it gives a strong, beautiful bass, low voice. I love it. That's really music. And he saw that joy when I was playing. And he asked me if I had played all my life. And I said, well, last time I really played was at 21 years old. I'm now 35 years old. It's been a while. So I'm not trained anymore. And he said, you're not trained and you play that way. Yeah. You know, you never forget when music play in your mind at all times.
Yeah.
And he asked me, because he actually mentored me before we fell in love. He asked me, you are going to make a promise to yourself to never, ever drop your music for anybody whatsoever anymore in your entire life. Promise me that now. I did with joy, with delight, with relief. I think I cried of decompression and relief. And at the same time finding back that first love expression, you know.
Yeah.
And that has been absolutely transformational. And now at any moment in time, when introducing each other to other people, they say, okay, so what do you do? Yeah, Sasha always mentioned, and she's a classically trained violinist and pianist. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And he did that with you. See?
He did.
So yeah, that is true. That is a fact. That is a
That's
fact.
awesome. I'm still in awe of the orchestra that plays in your head. Because I experienced the only I how do I put this in words? A long time ago when I was in college, I was on my way home from school and an entire song played in my head.
Yes.
An entire song that hadn't been written yet. It's my song and I'm still finishing it. It was a long time ago, but nothing like that had ever happened to me before. I don't play piano. I play basic guitar, but I heard like violins, piano. I heard all the instruments and I'm like, this is cool and also like WTF. Like where is this coming from? So I had that one experience and just knowing that you experience that constantly is just amazing.
I could hum what I hear. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I could pick up the violin and show you how it sounds like a little bit because it's only one line out of the 39 lines I play.
That's really cool. I feel like this is the first time in a while I forgot to put my husband's cello right here. Like it's ironic.
Indeed. But you
Yeah.
have a few guitars behind there.
Yeah, those are his. We kind of like blend our music studio slash office with our bedroom because we don't have a lot of space here.
Right.
So these are the three that he plays most often. And then I think we have like 7 more downstairs.
Fine. That's fine.
So, but yeah, he's an incredible guitar player and always like he doesn't know how good he is. Like he knows, but
Visual.
he's always, well, I could be better.
Yeah.
I'm like, you
But
don't understand.
I totally understand. So what that actually means, because that I understand from within, and I can put words on it. You have a picture, an auditory picture in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Try to match that 100% perfect. And when you are not matching that 100% perfect, you know you can do better. It does not mean that outside, people hearing you trying to match that, they are already in awe. But you know you can do better. And
Yeah.
you know what you are striving for. And you know that that sound with that melody, with that emotional effect, with that chills at that moment in time, that is one of the things. When I sit down at the piano, I create a song, I'm looking for those chills that suddenly run through your entire body and stir your emotions. That's what I'm after. And a few singers I met are able to connect your emotion with just the sound of their body, like singing. That to me, I'm in awe. Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So
Wow.
right now we're just, just to stay in the music, we're in a cover band together. We do mostly 80s rock covers. Um and then he has his own band. He plays progressive rock. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It kind of sounds like movie theme rock.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
So
And
he
then
plays also with the emotions around music. He stirs emotion through the music.
yes.
That's the goal. This is
Yeah.
why he keeps on telling you he can be better.
Yeah. I understand that now. I like the way you explained it to me. And then just recently we've been talking about for about 20 years to make our own music together, just me and him.
Mhm.
And we recently just like took a baby step forward.
Nice.
Um, so I'm excited to see what we have
Mhm.
coming up. Um, but I think that's why I feel like I connect with you in that respect. It's just like music, even though it's not always in my head, it's in my blood.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. One of the things I taught naturally, I was not even a teacher. I did teach a few times, but not with the hat of a teacher. I was watching an audition of teenagers playing in a formation in a small band together. And I noticed that every time the youngest who was playing the piano was playing one of the wrong notes rather than expected, instead of the expected note, she
Hmm.
stopped the entire band, asked to start over from that moment and take it again. But it was a presentation. And after the presentation, I went to her and I taught her something essential with music. The difference between what you know you want to accomplish and what people receive. There is a Grand Canyon of difference,
Yeah.
honestly. There is such a big difference. And I taught her, when you miss a beat or you miss a note, you keep on listening the other and you pick up as soon as you can. Like a few notes later, you pick up right after. If you can play a fioritur in the meantime, or anything that would go along, just do it. Don't be afraid of that. And just pick back up the beat and you continue. And I told her the audience will not even notice. You will notice. Your teacher will notice because your teacher expects exactly that notes and you are almost there. The
Hmm.
author of the band may or may not notice, and the audience will not notice. And when I taught her that, I was able to listen I think it was 1 year later, same setup. Same group. I looked at her, little blink, and she played right through. Because I know music, I noticed twice. Did not stop the entire band anymore. That was a big teaching moment. Another big teaching moment was toward a young violinist. There is one thing with the violin. You have to breathe every note and create all the note from before until after the sounds. It's not just like, okay, you have not heard it. No, that's not just that. And I noticed that he was playing technically good. Musically, it was missing. He was missing the mark. He was missing the spirit of music behind it. He was just like reciting. Da 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 da. Done. Let's come back to it. Okay, are you ready? I showed him that when you play the bow, when you play the bow, there is something that happens that your hand, I would say your arm will already go back as your hand finished to go along. And then you come back. Same on the other side. So that it becomes something completely soft. And with that, it's the same effect than someone who is able to hold her one note for 2 minutes. And everybody is like, you know. And when you are soft enough in the movements, it feels like it is one same note. And when I showed him that, it was the revelation. The effect on the next piece of music he was playing was major. He got it. And that is one of the things that we can do to actually improve, because placing the hand to play a note is one thing that you have to really learn by heart, and then you can learn the vibrato. But the entire velocity, the entire intensity, the flowing of the sound, that is done with the other hand. How do you move the bow? There is a lot of difference. You can also like just like play in one go, like tack, 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 tack. And you really on a note. It's very interesting when you start to really understand all those nuances. This is when you go from technical playing to musical playing. So that kind of things that I can teach, and that feels good. It's a connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to compare that to when a vocalist uses the soft whispery voice, or when she uses her diaphragm and pushes it forward. You were talking about the vocalist that holds out a long note. Are you familiar with the song Love Shack?
Yes.
From the 80s? So at the end of the song where she goes, tin roof, rusted. So, and our band is also comedic, so we're funny and we dress in costume, and it's really entertaining. So I hold that note as long as I can, and while I'm doing that, the band, they get like a drink of water, they stretch, and they do all that. and it's probably, I don't know, maybe a minute, maybe less. And then just to make it funny, I end it with, oh, like I'm out of breath, and I'm on the floor dying.
Oh,
I know. But anyway, that made me think of that.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, just the technique to incorporate the emotion into the music is very similar to the singer who can control the volume and the amount of breath that's in the whatever they're singing, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I'm passionate about is singing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're passionate about singing. Oh, gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
something I did not learn. I can sing a little bit to actually show you what I hear or make you hear the song. I think pretty accurate in terms of notes. I'm much more accurate on a violin or piano or anything else, even a guitar. But I did not learn, and I know I have it in me, but I never learned to actually sing like with this entire thing, with all the emotion, with all the sound, like transmitting music from your own body, which is your instruments. To me, that is jaw-dropping. I love to listen to the voice. I love that.
That's cool. What are
Right.
your thoughts on the excessive use of auto-tune in music these days to where, you know, young singers are coming up and aiming for the perfection that doesn't actually exist?
Yesterday, I was talking about that with Sasha because I was talking about those people are real musician or not real musician.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, can they play with just dry instruments in the desert? There is no electricity there. There is no solar or things or whatever. There is no amplifier. There is no tune. Can they play? If they can play a cappella, can you sing a cappella? Do you sing
Yes.
right? Do you have some volume in your belly? And this is what I call a real musician. Now I realized one thing. By choosing that wording, I'm discriminating against all those professional technological musicians who actually go behind computers, make it all work, go with amplifier, a sound engineer. I'm dismissing all those people who we need to
Yeah.
actually take what we have and make it available for the whole world. So dismissing that way, I realized is not right. So we decided to replace real musician by classically trained musician. All
Mm.
right,
Yeah.
can play on a wood violin without anything plugged into it. And funny enough, the last 10 years, I'm playing on a electric violin. So I'm plugging it in, I'm plugging
Right.
into the amplifier, and we can add some more vibration to it and reverb and other things to it, which is pretty cool because it gives
Yeah.
suddenly the impression of being in a big ballroom or
Mm.
in an opera or something like that. It's pretty cool. But all of that is because of all that sound engineer going through all those auto-tune. Now, the singer who use auto-tune, I think it's an art because you have to learn that as much as you have to learn to sing.
That's true.
I mean, I have no idea how it works because I was never introduced to that. I know it exists. It's an art. It's something you have to learn and to learn to
Yeah.
use and to use the right way. Same than artificial intelligence. Yeah, it's available. You have to prompt it right to put the exact right instruction to know exactly where you want to go and all of that. You have to still be the artist. The mind of the artist is you. You can have the auto-tune to improve. You can have AI to improve. You can have other help to enhance, but not instead of you.
Right. I guess that would make the distinction between going back to musician, it would be the difference between a musician and a musical artist.
We could do
Because
that.
I feel like the techie ones, like even with electronic music and dubstep and all that, it's still music, but they're not playing the instrument, but they're creating music. So I feel like it's music art
Yeah,
rather than musician, so to speak.
yeah.
But I like that you add classically trained musician.
Because it really refers to, are you actually able to pick up one piece of Vivaldi and play it?
Yeah.
I can because I was trained for that.
Mm-hmm.
Other people cannot, and just learned how to play with logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do have one more question for you that I ask everyone at the end of every episode, and that is, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
You know in your heart of hearts what is your life mission. Drop everything that is not your life mission and pursue your life mission. In your heart of heart, you know it. And if you answer back to me, I don't know what it is, I will say, okay, take some retreats, take some journal, and go dig deeper. You did not go deeper inside of you, deeper enough inside of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gemma Serenity signing off. Until next time.